Ladies and gentlemen, close your eyes for 10 seconds, alright? Paint this picture with me. The Eastern Cape has just been hammered by a week of rain that never seemed to stop. Water came down in sheets, turning gravel into porridge, turning streets into knee-deep streams, turning the breath in your lungs into cold smoke when you step outside at dawn. Whole bridges snapped like dry twigs. RDP houses, already built on shaky promises, crumbled into wet cardboard. Livestock got swept downstream. A little girl lost her school shoes. An old gogo watched her lifetime of blankets float away. A taxi driver tried to ford a flooded road and never came home. Now imagine the smell. Mud mixed with sewage, wet clothes inside small rooms, paraffin that spilled while people were scrambling uphill. Think of the soundtrack. Screaming wind at 3 a.m., corrugated iron roofs rattling like tin cans, dogs barking at the water they can't bite, and then after the storm a wail of ambulances and the helicopter thump-thump that makes everyone look up with fragile hope. That's where we start. And then, 3 days later, when the shock is still raw, you hear a different noise. Keep your eyes closed. A whine of sirens that don't belong to rescue teams. Blue light convoys. Luxury SUVs. Tinted windows. Police motorcycles clearing the pothole-ridden road like Moses parting the Red Sea. And stepping out of the lead vehicle, polished shoes, somehow spotless in the sludge and still has them cover, comes President Cyril Ramaphosa, flanked by ministers, bodyguards, and a phalanx of media lenses. The man looks genuine. I'll give him that. He'll clasp his hands, he'll nod slowly as if every mud-splattered face touches his soul. But now, here's the part that really gets me. You ready to hear this? This right here is where the show begins, when Cyril Pinocchio Ramaphosa arrives. You see, I've noticed a pattern, and so have you. Number one, the grand arrival. Always late. Not because convoys get stuck like we do, but because protocol says the stage must be set, the local mayor must finish his warm-up speech, and the drone operator must have a clean aerial shot of the crowd. You see the shine on those SUVs? That's your tax money reflecting the sun straight into your eyes. Number two, the walkabout. Every camera zooms in on his loafers stepping over puddles. An aide holds an umbrella, but Cyril rejects it for 6 seconds so photographers get that leader in the rain vibe. He lifts a toddler whose hair is still dripping. He squeezes an elderly woman's shoulder. Those 30 seconds become the cover image on every news site by sunset. Number three, the tent speech. A marquee pops up faster than Sasa lines. Plastic chairs, you know the vibes. Podium with government crest, one sign language interpreter, and then the script that's given to him that wasn't written by him. My fellow South Africans, today I have come to share your pain. Government will walk this difficult road with you. We will rebuild, restore, and renew. The crowd claps politely. Some cry, but their tears are from the flood, definitely not the speech. Number four is the promise dump. Temporary houses within 30 days. Disaster funds have been ring-fenced. We will hold corrupt officials accountable. He sprinkles buzzwords: rapid, sustainable, inclusive. Everyone nods like we heard these tasty morsels for the very first time, even though we could recite them like a nursery rhyme at this point. And then stage 5, the exit. A quick handshake line. Reporters roar with questions, and none get answers. And then the convoy disappears faster than your leftovers in the fridge when your sibling knew they were there. And that's that. Same script played after the KZN storms, after the mudslide, after the 2023 Gale wins. Cyril is touring frontman for a political boy band called The Promises, greatest hits on repeat. Someone I know actually stood in one of those crowds once, Kariega in 2022, and then he watched it with his own eyes and saw an old uncle in gumboots dozing off while the president was actually speaking about mobilizing resources. Some journalist who was next to him tried to wake him up, and then guess what the man says? He's like, "Wake me up when the bulldozers arrive." That line stuck with me because that's the truth. That's how boring he is. Number one is the trauma exhaustion, because flood victims have been hauling buckets of sludge out of their homes all night. When you haven't slept in 48 hours, a soft political baritone is basically a lullaby and is the very last thing you need. Number two, a recycled script fatigue. Everyone in the Eastern Cape can finish the president's sentences. We know the chorus. No one will be left behind. Yes, Cyril, we know. We're just waiting for the verse where actual supplies show up, you know. Number three, nothing in hand. Because when you're chilled to the bone, a speech can't warm you, can it? No blankets, no hot meals, no chlorine tablets. A speech doesn't pay the bills, just words spoon-fed like cold pap. And I don't blame the uncle for nodding off that day, because your body is smarter than your hope sometimes. It knows talk won't keep kids dry at night and is not gonna feed them either. Ramaphosa's promises to desperate people are some of the greatest lies you will ever hear, especially if you've never heard him give a speech. If that's the case, well then, boy oh boy, are you in for a treat. Let's start with line number one. The first lie he gave these people. Temporary housing in 30 days. We heard that after KZN 2022, 18 months later, containers are rusting and residents still share chemical toilets. Toilets! Line number two. Funds have been ring-fenced. Which fence? The kind with holes big enough for the tenderpreneurs to dig their little fingers in as well? Or maybe I'm getting it all wrong. Maybe they won't be at all. Maybe there'll be some of those consultancy fees. Line number three, officials will be held accountable. Name me one municipal manager in jail for disaster theft. Thank you. Accountability is a mythical beast, like the Eastern Cape Road that doesn't have potholes. You know it's not there, it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as an Eastern Cape Road with no potholes, therefore there's never been a government official who's been in jail for fraud. Never mind that government never enforced zoning or stormwater drainage at all, because each lie stretches that presidential nose a little longer. If fairy tales were fact, he'd need a crane to carry it. Let's talk about dependency. That 350 Rand social relief grant started as a temporary COVID cushion. Now it's woven into the economy like airtime vouchers. You queue, you tap your ID, you pocket 350. 350! Oh, thanks, man, that's just enough to keep me tethered, not enough to set me free. And guess what? In crisis season, leaders dangle it like a lifeline. Don't worry about the washed out road, you little citizen. At least this grant is gonna help you. You know, just stick to the grant. Don't worry about anything, right? It becomes hush money, even though it's so small, disguised as the social justice. Unemployment is something we should be talking about, not 350 grants while promising people sunshine and rainbows and unicorns shooting rainbows out of their asses while they just suffered from floods a few days ago. More damage equals more grant recipients equals more captive voters. Can you see the game here? Everyone jokes that South Africa has 4 seasons. Summer, autumn, winter, and, not spring, tender season. The moment a disaster is declared, the Treasury opens the sluice gates. Millions, sometimes billions, are allocated for emergency procurement. Sounds urgent, doesn't it? But urgent in government speak means contracts awarded without open bids. Companies registered last week, but somehow winning 50 million Rand deals? Yeah, now we're talking. Supplies delivered? Maybe. Receipts filed? Rarely. Oversight? Busy in another meeting. So by the time you and I drive by the so-called construction site, we find a stack of broken bags of cement and one board security guard. Don't be surprised. Money's gone, bridge is half done. Next storm washes everything away and the cycle resets. That's probably how they have it in Eastern Cape. Nothing is ever finished there. That's why Cyril's speeches feel hollow, because even if the money exists, we've seen it vanish before like this. Let's rip the band-aid. The man isn't some mastermind. He's a cog in a comfy machine. And that machine is armored by 4 shields. And let thee tell you about it. Number 1 is historical loyalty. Rural Eastern Cape is ANC soil. People vote struggle history, not service delivery over there. As long as the narrative of liberation is sung, ballots stray green, gold, black. Okay. Number 2 is distributed blame. National points at province. Province at municipality. Municipality at acts of God. If everyone is responsible, no one is. That's literally how they work. Number 3 is opposition fragmentation. DA argues with EFF, EFF with Action SA, Action SA with coalitions, while they bicker ANC strolls. Number 4 is media attention span. Scandal outruns scandal, believe it or not. Today it's floods. Tomorrow it's celebrity cheating. Next week it's a viral high school fight. Then guess what? Cyril's also going to pop up there. The presidency bets on our collective amnesia. And honestly, it usually wins because you guys believe half the stuff he usually says. Humor me for a second. Imagine if instead of speeches, the convoy actually delivered open source spending dashboards updated daily so that every citizen sees how much of the flood fund went to actual bags of cement. Independent engineering corps, no cousins, parachuted in within 48 hours to inspect every washed out structure. Transparent local partnerships pay actual residents to clear debris, rebuild drains, restore footpaths. When locals earn wages, the cash stays, and so does morale. School-based audit clubs, kids learn math by verifying material delivery. Civic education meets accountability. Tell me that won't scare lazy contractors. Live streamed progress check-ins every Friday, for example. Minister on WhatsApp video. Residents call out delays in real time, you know? That's progress. Wouldn't that slap harder than any podium promised by Pinocchio? We can't keep treating presidential tours like free concerts where you film a selfie and dip, okay? If your roof was ripped off, you deserve more than a handshake and a lullaby. Record promises, archive his words. Create a digital countdown. If a day 30 passes and there's no new foundation poured, post, tag, embarrass if you must. We are the notification generation. We need to use that power to ping government like an overdue debit order. You know what I'm saying? Show them that their reputation is as fragile as our informal bridges. Quick personal note, in 2022, a friend of mine visited a family near Mdantsane. Alright, you got me. It was actually me. Because I've got family members over there. Now, the mom, a family friend of ours, was supposed to have a housing done there in July 2022. We come back there January 2023, ankle deep in water. The construction site is unknown. When Ramaphosa came again this year, that same person listened for fresh deadlines. He said 30 days. She laughed. Not a ha-ha laugh. Heard this before laugh. Then she hustled to borrow plastic sheeting, speech still blaring through portable speakers. That's why I'm done applauding. Because that house was supposed to be built a very long time ago. And when we came back there recently, it still wasn't built. In fact, there was actually a flood before the recent one, and it was ankle deep. That's how deep it was. So deep, and the place was so ruined, it was unrecognizable. Because it wasn't built yet. It was one of the RDP houses that the president promised to build over there. Not only the president, the mayor of that place. People will keep sleeping. First from fatigue, and then from despair because the president keeps lying to them. But if you want them awake, what I'm saying is bring trucks, bring paid jobs, bring bricks that stay standing when the next river overflows, not like what happened with my family members. Keep your speeches short enough, pardon my grease, that we remember them, and specific enough that we can quote them back when the calendar hits day 31. You know what I'm saying? Like, until then, that nose keeps stretching, bruv. And we'll be right here measuring it in meters, not minutes, because that's how long we've stood in puddles listening. Mic drop. This is the Summer Sambit, and like always, before I say I'll see you next time, in case you're wondering where the yellow pillow is, don't worry about it. Comment "the" if you want to know what happened to the yellow pillow. And also, if you notice my eyes are a little red, it's because I was so sick today. I was in bed the entire day. Like, my bed is a mess, okay? Give me a break. It's been a rough week. Okay, I wrote math yesterday, please. And stop it with your conspiracy theories. I'm not a smoker. I'm clean. Alright, I'm a clean guy. The cleanest YouTuber around. I'm probably the only South African YouTuber you know that doesn't smoke. Okay? Give me a break. And stop with your conspiracy theories. I'll see you next time.